In the small town of Bellwood, everyone knew Daniel Carter. Not because he was rich, not because he was famous, and certainly not because he was successful. They knew him because he failed. Daniel had spent 5 years trying to build a machine that could turn ordinary rainwater into clean drinking water using a simple solar-powered system. He believed it could help villages where people walked miles every day just to find safe water. But every version of his machine failed. The first leaked, the second overheated, the third produced water that tasted terrible. The fourth broke apart in a storm. By the 10th attempt, people had stopped asking how his invention was going. By the 100th, they started laughing. "Still working on that thing?" his neighbor would call whenever Daniel carried another box of wires and metal into his workshop. "Maybe you should try something you're actually good at," others joked. Daniel heard them, but he kept working. His workshop became a museum of failure. Broken pipes hung from the walls. Burned circuits filled boxes. Failed prototypes sat on shelves, each one marked with a number. Number 1 and number 2 and number 3, all the way to number 999. His younger brother Marcus eventually begged him to stop. "Daniel, you've spent years on this. When is enough enough?" Daniel looked at the hundreds of ruined machines surrounding him. "I don't know," he admitted, "but I know I haven't learned everything yet." Then came attempt number 1000. Daniel worked for 3 weeks without taking a proper break. He changed the solar panel, redesigned the filtration chamber, and replaced the heating system. On the morning of the test, half the town gathered outside his workshop. They had come to watch him fail again. Daniel poured dirty rainwater into the machine. The motor began to hum. The solar panel caught the morning sunlight. Water slowly moved through the pipes. Everyone became silent. Then the machine stopped. A small puff of smoke rose from the back. The crowd burst into laughter. Daniel stood completely still. For the first time, the laughter hurt. He looked at his machine and felt something inside him collapse. Maybe Marcus was right. Maybe everyone was right. Maybe some dreams were simply too big for certain people. Daniel turned toward his workshop, ready to walk away. Then he noticed something. The smoke had come from a tiny connection he had never tested properly. The connection had overheated because the water was moving through the system faster than he expected. Daniel stared at it. Then he smiled. He grabbed his notebook. "If the water is moving faster," he whispered, "then the pressure is working." He spent the rest of the day making one final adjustment. The next morning, he tried again. Attempt number 1001. Daniel poured dirty rainwater into the machine. The motor hummed. The pipes shook. The solar panel warmed beneath the sun. And this time, nothing stopped. Clear water began flowing from the other end. Daniel filled a glass. He held it up to the sunlight. The water was perfectly clear. The crowd outside was silent. Daniel took a sip, then another. "It works," he whispered. Marcus ran forward and hugged him. Even the people who had laughed were cheering now. Months later, Daniel's invention was being tested in villages across the country. A small company offered to manufacture it, and organizations began using the machines to provide clean water to thousands of people. But Daniel kept one thing in his workshop: his old shelf of failed prototypes. Whenever someone asked him about his success, he pointed toward the shelf. "You see that?" he would say. "That's my success." People often looked confused. Daniel smiled. "Those failures taught me everything I needed to know to build the machine that worked." He never forgot the day he failed for the 1000th time, because if he had stopped then, he would never have reached 1001. And that was the lesson Daniel wanted everyone to understand. Failure is not the opposite of success. Sometimes failure is the road that leads you there.